Here we are.
Does my phone look weird to you? Like,
I don't know. Maybe. It's an iPhone.
The lighting on it looks interesting.
Well, welcome everybody. It is Monday Night Live. Kate Semmens, Dean Nixon, Turning Leaf. We are so excited to be joining you tonight, Monday night.
Yes. Post-Thanksgiving.
Post-Thanksgiving, and whew, I did the pie. I went all in on the pie this trip.
He's killing me on his pie talk tonight. It was like for like a straight half hour in our family group, just talking about pie.
I can't help it.
I've only had peppermints to eat for dinner, Dean. Come on.
The group did make me hungry.
I know.
I was like, leftovers, here I come. I am so ready for the pie.
Oh.
Well, super excited to join you tonight.
Hopefully you all enjoyed your holiday.
Yes.
Yes, and had a wonderful time. And we're able to connect like we talked about last week and watch what you focus on and work on your acceptance and your communication with your loved ones and really just be about connection. I hope that happened for you.
And to be thinking, and to be thinking about the energy that you bring into the environment that you're going into.
Absolutely.
And what was fun about that is that the conversations that I had with other people away from after our live, and so many people that were commenting, some people commented here on the feed, which was awesome about their thoughts and feelings. And so thank you for interacting. Even after our feed is over, please feel free. If you're watching this after it's, the live is over, please do. We'd love to interact and give you any help that we can. But the other ones were the conversations with the people as I was just going about my
IRL,
day.
like I say, in real life, IRL. I love the kid lingo.
You're so cool. You're so cool. But it was fun to talk about that and to hear people talk about, yes, I need to be aware of the energy I'm taking in, and being conscious, being present is such an important part. And to be able to go into that weekend, hopefully everybody was able to enjoy that and go in with that intention wholeheartedly. So
absolutely. I also had a pretty cool conversation with a new friend who is already kind of doomsday prepping for Christmas, right?
Yeah,
He's like, I've got to go back east and be with my family. I'm not sure if I'm in this year. And we had a pretty cool conversation about like whether you do or do not decide to do that, whatever feels good to you. I love how you said bringing that energy into it.
Yeah.
And then just treating it like a classroom, right? Like, hey, what's going to happen with this relationship this Christmas, or like all that kind of stuff. And
like watching a show.
Yeah.
So hopefully you were able to take that. Those of you that haven't watched it, that's last week's episode. Go in and tune into that. So tonight, one of the topics that I wanted to talk, or the topic I wanted to bring into it, was a topic that was brought up to me and requested that we talk about it. And what it was is simply this: what energy attracts people, and what is it about the energy that we carry that attracts certain people to us? Boy, man, I really had a hard time with that. Man, I had a hard time with that. So
say it one more time.
I'll try and do it better here, so hold tight. So essentially, there's people that are attracted to us, and sometimes we have people that are attracted to us that are unhealthy, people that bring drama or toxicity or things into our lives. And then there are people that are attracted to us that bring joy and happiness and light into our lives. And so the question was posed to me, how do we determine that? How do we impact or influence the energy that we're putting out so we can start attracting the people that we truly want to be around? Now, I apologize for that first part. If you just delete that or fast forward through it and get to the second part, I think I did better.
Yes, you did. You articulated it infinitely better the second try.
Thank you.
Too bad we don't have like the editing capacity.
I wish we could.
And I love that we're talking about this because I know I've experienced this in my life. I've had lots of friends that have experienced these kind of things. And we're not only just talking about maybe romantic partners, right? Like this is anybody, friendships, anybody, that even coworkers, like all those kinds of relationships. But I think especially we can see this cycle in a relationship, right? Like you see it in TV and everything all the time. Like that you get into a relationship, you experience that relationship, you come around, you have a breakup, and then you basically get back into the same relationship with a different person.
Right.
That is, it's just this repeated pattern.
Right. And a lot of it has to do, with what we allow ourselves to ponder on every day.
Mm-hmm.
So our energy is driven by the thoughts that we are entertaining. If I'm entertaining negativity, if I'm entertaining the focus, as we've talked about, and when we talk about the 8 essential coping skills in the book, The Key, that you can get, it's about focus. And what am I focusing on? And a lot of times we focus so much on the things that we don't want in our lives that's all we see. Mm-hmm. And as a consequence of that, we start to attract all those things to us. And a lot of it's because when we put our focus on them, they engage in that energy and they're drawn towards that energy, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
So the more that we focus on the things that we don't want, we're going to get more of what we don't want. When we start focusing more on what we do want or what we're working to create, those things are more attracted to us. However, this goes back to other conversations and other lives that we've had here. Sometimes what we're doing is we're trying to manifest based upon what we don't want.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Because, and we've talked about it, and it's kind of just a known phenomenon now, like we can't really, our brains don't really understand don't, right? Like if you're like, oh gosh, I really don't want this thing, all that we're doing is manifesting that thing because it's like focused on that thing. It's not like, get this out of my life.
Right.
It's, oh, okay, that's what you want, is that because you're focused on it. Yeah, it makes total sense.
So we start to draw ourselves towards it. And so a lot of times when we're making decisions about what we're going to focus on or what we're going to manifest, it's in reaction to what we don't want.
Right.
Instead of that creative energy that is within us. And I'm always saying we are creators, and I'm not the only one. There's so many voices in the world saying, hey, you're a creator. And so you are a creator of the energy that you put out there. A lot of times our energy of creation is a reaction to the things we don't want. Mm-hmm. That's where we get into trouble. So we have to really shift our energies, not from, well, I don't want this in my life, to what is it that I do want in my life? And most of the time people will go, I don't know.
I don't even know. I was just thinking
I don't know what I want. And the reason why we have such a hard time focusing on what we want is because we've spent so much time focusing on what we don't want. Mm-hmm. So we've gotten lost in our own prejudice and preferences. We've gotten lost in the inability to determine, well, what is truly important to me? Who truly am I? And what do I truly want in my life? We struggle with that because we're so focused on all the things that make us uncomfortable, especially the world we're living in today. Mm-hmm. Everything's focused on being safe and comfortable and not being upset and not being, hurting.
Not really feelings.
And so we're focused on all of this numbing out, taking pain away, taking hurt away, and softening all the edges of life to the point where we think that's normal. But because that becomes our focus, then our focus, that's the part people don't get, is because that's our focus, is soften all the edges. Because that's our focus, we're always focused on all the ways we're getting hurt. Mm-hmm. And we're looking for all the edges, and we're looking for all the edges that can hurt us. Instead of stepping back and going, I'm not focused on not getting hurt. I'm focused on creating. I'm focused on creating this in my life. I'm focused on who I want to attract and draw into my life. Mm-hmm. And a lot of it goes back to another live that we've done a while back. It goes back to the story we tell ourselves. And what is that story that you tell yourself about you? And I find myself getting caught up in this very thing, getting caught up in the stories of why life is the way that it is, getting caught up in why I don't have what I want or where I don't have what I want. And then that becomes the story. Then once I've told that story, now I make decisions from the story to try and manifest.
Right. So then I obviously the next question is, okay, how do we stop doing that? And then flip it in order to be able to focus on what it is that we do want and then receive that into our lives.
The answer is really within the question, is we've got to focus more on how we want to feel rather than how we don't want to feel. So if I step back, and it's like we talked about even last week, going into those family interactions where it may be like, I'm not sure if I want to be there, excuse me, but we start focusing on, well, what is the energy I want to create within me? And if I want to create within me, now I'm not working about who do I want to attract, who do I not want to attract, why are these people not responding, why are these people hurting, why are they saying those things about me, why are they telling, instead of going there, I'm going, okay, within me, I'm going to create an energy of gratitude. And I'm going to be grateful for me. I'm going to be grateful for my life. I'm going to be grateful for what's going on in me. Or I'm going to focus on the energy of love within me. And I focus on that energy within myself. That energy in and of itself will draw people to me. That energy, just being within me, staying within my own energy, staying with my own space, creates an attraction that people go, man, that person's something different about that. There's feeling there that I want that person, because I'm staying in my own space. Everything up until now that we've been talking about is about space out here. Everything's about everybody else and everything outside of ourselves. Right. Instead of really grounding on what is the feeling I'm creating within my own self right here. Where am I creating that space? Am I creating that energy? And normally we want other people to affect that energy. We want other people to change that energy. And instead of creating and manifesting that energy within ourselves and letting it ripple out. Right. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. So if you want to attract more friends, like have a bigger social circle or create a tribe or whatever lingo you want to use, then you need to start focusing on how that would feel, how I would feel having those friends, right? Like, and being grateful for that and grateful for me. And am I getting this right?
Yes, but no.
Yes, but no.
Yes, in the sense that in the sense that you want to create the feeling within yourself, but not how will it feel if I have, but I already have. Right. So you're not creating that feeling of, man, how would it feel if I had all these friends? But it would be the feeling of, I already have what I need. Right. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And
I guess where I was going is going back to that question of what is it that I want? Right?
Yes.
Okay, so what I want is a stronger social circle. Like I want a stronger co-ed social circle.
Okay.
Legit something that I want.
I think we all do.
Right?
Yes.
And so now that I know that that's what I want, then internally I focus on what I already have.
Right.
And I just work on making that feeling bigger.
And creating that and really focusing on that feeling. Yeah. And then just owning the feeling of being enough within yourself.
Right.
And to feeling as though that already exists, not how and that's the point I was trying to make is we focus on and that feeling as if it already exists instead of focusing on what would it feel like if I had it. And I think that's the difference where people get really confused. Neville Goddard talks a lot about that in his writings when he's talking about the feeling is the answer. And what he's talking about is we don't say, well, this is how it's going to feel if or when I have that and meditate and manifest on that. We don't focus on that. We focus on this is how it feels. And I already have it. So I focus on that feeling, not it will feel this way when. Does that that's where I was coming
from. Yep, that totally makes
and that's the energy that we want to create, to really draw those energies. And I've noticed the difference in my life when I'm in that space. And it's so crazy. I know, like when I go to the gym, for example, when I'm in that headspace, and I walk through the gym, because I'm one of those guys, I'll do a set and then I walk a lap and do a set and walk a lap. I know it drives everybody crazy at the gym, and those of you watching, I apologize. But the reality is that when I'm walking that lap, when I'm in that space of focused on my energy and being in my space and really, it's like everybody in there is like, hey, how you doing? Talk. Where the times that I'm really in that, in my head, and the what ifs and really caught up in my story, it's here and there. It's less. And so the experiment, and I keep doing that experiment with the gym just because it's such a transient place of different personalities. But I notice that manifests that way. Like when I am in that space, everybody in that gym is my friend. When I'm not in that space, most of the people in there are my friend. And so it's really intriguing, and it's a good experiment. I challenge you to try it. I challenge you to try this as an experiment, is to walk with that energy of I already have it, and then walk with the energy of, boy, it'll feel great if I have it. Right. And see the difference in your interactions throughout the week or throughout the day.
Yeah. And I do think that that's a pretty key piece, though, that we need to bring up here as well, because I mean, let's just say it. You can sit in your room and you can manifest all you want, but no one's going to come bang on your door to like be your friend, right? Like, oh, I'm just feeling drawn to this house or this apartment. I don't know. There's probably a friend in here, right? That's not going to happen. Right. You got to get out there.
You got to put the action behind it.
And I do love that a lot of the stuff that I've been reading on manifestation also is like sit with it, feel it, and then walk your life, right? Yes. Like it's almost like feel it and then have the faith to let that go and just know that it's coming. And so you don't obsess about it. Yeah. Right? Like you walk, you go to the gym, and you've already got that inside of you, and see what that does, what that experiment looks like.
Yeah. And I love that. And I'll use the example that Neville Goddard used, and I love it. He was in, I believe he was in LA area. I'm not confident, but he was saying to the group, he said, if I asked you how far away LA would be, you would say this far away. If I asked you how far Santa Barbara is away, you would say this far away. So based upon what you're saying, I know you're in somewhere in the LA vicinity. And so his point was, we normally think from how far we are away from what we want, instead of thinking from being there already. And the interesting thing to me about that was, I think about like driving from St. George to Salt Lake City. And for those of you that are not from this area that are tuning in, it's about a 4.5 hour, depending on how you drive north from St. George, where we are. And immediately, if I came to you and said, okay, you need to go from Salt Lake City to St. George, or St. George to Salt Lake City right now, you would immediately start thinking of all the things that have to happen in order for you to be there. And instead of, if I came to you and said,
I have to get new tires.
Instead of, if I came to you and said, hey, I want you to go to Salt Lake City right now. And instead of thinking, well, here's all the things I have to do to make that happen, we start thinking, oh, yes, it feels cold there and I want to put a coat on, and there's going to be Christmas lights, and that's going to feel amazing. And I love that feeling. And man, I can almost sense that I'm there already. That's the difference. One of them, we're acting as though we're already there and we're tuning into the feeling and the excitement of it. The other one is, okay, yes, for that to happen, this. And that's the difference. And I love the way Neville explained it.
Yeah. So the key is to stay in that second scenario.
Right.
To like just feel
as though it's already
chill
there.
And the Christmas lights.
The Christmas light and the excitement of what it's going to be. And when we create that energy as though it's already happened, then we start to attract that energy to us, rather than, and then this is the problem, is we do it already. Exactly what I'm challenging us to do is what we do already. We just do it on the flip.
Right.
We spend so much time focusing on the negative and all the things that are happening, and we're experiencing the emotion and we're walking with that emotion. So we keep attracting it to us.
Why do I keep attracting the same thing?
Because we experience it every day. And that's what we're doing to ourselves all the time.
Right. So that's actually probably a really cool thing to walk with through this whole next season, right?
Yes.
Like as you're festivizing. Yes, I make up words all the time.
I love it. Festivizing.
You're getting your Jubilee on, and
Festivus.
Yeah, and out and about as you're shopping and doing all those things, like really keeping that energy about you. See how different.
Oh, I dare you to do it.
All the humans are going to be reacting with you.
It works.
And it's amazing because it's that subconscious level.
Yes.
Right? It's that like, if you want to call it hormonal or whatever it is that happens, right? Like it's the essence of our humanity that isn't conscious that will kick in and make that manifest for you.
Yeah. Well, we are at the end of our time. So thank you everybody again for
Time
tuning
flies
in.
when you're having fun.
A lot of people tuning in and watching. Thank you for doing that. We're grateful. Please like and share the videos. Make sure that they're getting access to all of your friends and loved ones. Also, more importantly than that, please make sure you take these topics to the dinner table, around the water cooler, every chance you get. Just have the conversations. And there are people out there craving connection. There are people out there waiting for you to start a conversation with them so that they can understand life and feel stronger and better. If you want to connect, start connecting.
And this is a great topic to start connecting over.
And going into the holidays and going into the new year, we're going to be really talking more and more about that. This coming New Year's, I'll be talking to you from the San Diego area, from the meditation gardens down in Encinitas. Encinitas. Yeah, I always say it wrong. So we got a lot of good stuff coming everybody's way. So we're super stoked. Thank you all for tuning in.
Yes, and we will see you next week on
Monday Night Live.
Good night, you guys.